Well, moving on to news out of Seychelles, the Seychelles Securities Exchange today announcing that the SACOS Group has signed a letter of engagement to be listed on the exchange in July this year. With the announcement, the SACOS Group becomes the first company to confirm its intention to list on the exchange since November last year. Joining us from our Cape Town studios, we've got Edmund Tuoi, the director at Quote Africa Group. Thanks for joining us. And of course, Quote Africa is the owner, will be the owners of Tropics. But talk to us about the understanding of why SACOS has chosen to list on the exchange. Any incentives that were put on the table for them to come to be the first company to list?
Yeah, thanks, Samantha. The SACOS Group, basically based on discussions, sees this as a natural progression for themselves. They've had a strong performance over a number of years, and a listing is, the next step in their process as a growing company. The government of the Seychelles has recognised the importance of a securities exchange in the Seychelles and has actually incentivised companies to do this. It recently announced some tax incentives for any Seychelles company that lists. In particular, the SACOS Group taxable or tax rate will move from 33% to 25%. Other benefits that the SACOS Group have acknowledged are basically it will unlock shareholder value, it'll provide transparency for people wanting to trade their shares. They are subjecting themselves to a regulatory framework that brings other benefits for the SACOS Group if they want to raise capital in the future, and for a number of other things that generally listed companies get over unlisted companies.
Now tell us about the process that you've gone through right now to be able to get the exchange up and running, because a lot of legislative amendments that were needed in order to allow the exchange to be up and running, and of course companies to list. So are those all out of the way? Is the process now underway to get companies onto the exchange?
Yes, those amendments that were required are all out of the way. We received operational approval in November of last year, and in the last few months there was some minor amendments required to the Companies Act and the Immovable Properties Act. These have been successfully implemented, and basically SACOS is the first company to announce its listing. We're expecting in the next few weeks an announcement of another listing, and we're currently working on some listings from outside of the Seychelles, and we expect those to come online later this year. So everything's full steam ahead in Seychelles.
I mean, how are you uniquely positioning the Tropics exchange for companies who are potentially looking at it as a listing destination relative to other options in Africa right now? I mean, Nigeria, Kenya, and of course South Africa being the largest and most liquid.
We've basically engaged in a very extensive process with global market leaders in investment to design a set of rules. Also, we've engaged with all local parties throughout Africa to make those rules tailored for the African environment. We've had to strike a balance between regulation and then basically what the market can bear at this stage. What we've come to is the key thing that we want to bring with Seychelles and our flagship is really get a robust clearing and settlement process in place. One of the big things that's missing in Africa is a IOSCO accredited framework for clearing and settlement. That's what we'll be working on over the next basically 6 to 12 months to make sure that international investors as well as local investors are comfortable to invest through the Tropics exchange. The other aspects of it are pricing. We've basically come up with infrastructure that is it's the best available in the world, but the pricing is very good. We'll have a pricing for listing and for trading that will basically be very competitive with any other exchange in Africa, but also internationally. This is one of the things for us that will attract listings to our board and help drive liquidity.
So, I mean, do you have a target in terms of how many listings you need to be able to have an exchange that breaks even and then ultimately starts earning money?
Yes, we do. We basically are looking for about 20 listings, which is a combination of about 8 to 10 local, 12 to 10 not local listings. We also have some other products in the pipeline that we'll be announcing shortly, so not just equities listings, we'll also be looking at other products. I won't talk about them right now because we're still in negotiations with a number of parties, but it's not just equities listings that'll bring us to break even, it'll be a combination of 3 key product sets. But we should be at break even point around last quarter of about 2015.
What about the currency factor? Would investors be investing in the local currency, or you're looking at ways to mitigate that?
We actually will, for Seychelles, any Seychelles companies will be listed in SCR. You know, we do see that as necessary for the Seychelles economy. They do have their own currency, and it's important for them to, you know, be able to trade in that currency. For anybody any non-Seychelles company, really, we're offering a choice. USD, GBP, Euro. We expect that most people will want to list in US dollars.
So if you've got that opportunity there for foreign investors to be able to invest in kind of euro, dollar, you know, obviously a lot more less risky currencies they would see it as. Do you also have IT systems that would speak to international trading platforms to be able to enhance trading on the local exchange, the Tropics?
Yes, all the technology that we're using is using a standardised messaging system called FIX. It's used all around the world. We can integrate basically very easily with any clearinghouse, any CSD. You know, with the technology these days, that kind of connection is pretty much standard. You're probably looking at a 2 to 3 month process maximum to bring on an international bank, an international clearer, or an international broker. Just going back to the issue of you know,
incentivizing companies to list, of course government has put some tax incentives on the table. But do you see the Tropics as a place that companies would come to raise capital? Do you see that would be potentially a primary driver, or really the kind of fact that you've got these modernized systems that take out all the issues that many African bourses face today? It's a combination of those factors. It's not just about the IT. You know, speed isn't everything. It's actually, as you correctly point out, it's flexibility. It's being able to integrate, you know, internationally with basically in any currency, with any banking environment. The market construct as well is very important. You know, you must have credible clearing and settlement. And you know, the clearing that we're talking about, we need AA rated entities to do these things. We were recently in London on a roadshow. There is so much appetite for African investment. The problem is that, you know, we need to work together in Africa to bring platforms that they're comfortable with. They've got no problems, you know, investing in Africa, but we do need to work together to get, you know, robust solutions so that they will buy these companies and buy them and trade in them actively.